This part 5 is a review and rating of hiking and tent camping in Torres del Paine in Patagonia. The previous 4 parts are given in this link. The overall rating is based on average rating of 7 categories. My rating for scenery is 8 out of 10. The scenery is spectacular, a 10 out of 10, but I subtract 2 because the scenery around some of the campsites is not appealing and in some cases repulsive. Campsites are crowded, cramped, and poorly laid out with little sense of privacy. Also, you find junk along the trail. For the independent hiker, you find some poor shelters, pretty bad toilet facilities, and mediocre places to put up tent, resulting in my rating of 4 out of 10. Some shelters for cooking in bad weather are of insufficient size. Finding signs like this on the only shelter on a campsite is ridiculous. Should non-smokers step outside because of smokers? Ridiculous. You find overcrowding and waiting in line to prepare a meal. Some toilet facilities are just appalling and with insufficient capacity, tempting hikers in great need to do their business somewhere else. The strong winds you find in Patagonia, together with the horse manure dust next to a tent camp, is a bad combination. How would you like human feces spread around your campsite? Not much different. Some tent areas are uninviting, poorly constructed, and poorly maintained. To book a campsite in the Grey Campground, I had to pay for a meal that I simply did not need. My trail rating is a poor 5 out of 10. Your safety is jeopardized on the steep mountainside trail leading to Paso as you descend from the Ghana Pass. Its poor quality is not properly communicated, leading to inexperienced hikers venturing out on the O Trail. The passage across quebradas can be very dangerous, especially after heavy rainfall. This is the best condition you can probably expect at this crossing. Your safety is also compromised by old wooden, poorly constructed and maintained bridges ready to collapse. Also, horses should not be allowed on the walking trail of a national park. I bet most hikers would be repulsed by finding or stepping in human feces on the trail. Horse manure is not much different. Services in terms of reservation, transport, or staffing I rank as a poor 5 out of 10. The reservation system in dealing with 3 separate booking sites is a total disaster. You have to go back and forth to be lucky enough to get things lined up. How about having to get 13 permits to complete the O Trail and part of the W Trail? Just ridiculous. Instead of busing to the Torres Central bus stop, you get dropped off at Laguna Amarga and have to transfer your gear to a minibus for a very short ride to Torres Central. Another example of the mismanagement of the park. There are poor facilities and conditions for staffing at some campgrounds, likely resulting in a poor, not very professional staffing. You may encounter some not very caring, largely unavailable staff, as in this location with piped clean water to the park ranger's hut, unavailable to campers that had to negotiate big obstacles to get water from the river, something that easily could have been corrected. Yes, you do have a nice park ranger station and visitor center in the outskirts of the park, but underutilized due to its location, practically inaccessible by the great majority of the hikers dropped off by bus at Laguna Amarga. Such a waste of valuable resource. The solitude nature experience is limited due to the excessive number of visitors in a park run more like a business enterprise than a national park. Don't expect much solitude on the W Trail. You can get that on the O Trail section that does not include the W Trail. But that solitude is negated by the poorly designed, uninviting campsites. My minimum cost for 13 reservations for completing the O Trail and some of the dead-end trails of the W trail was substantial. The best comparison I could find is a comparison to the Milford track that I also completed and described on YouTube. As you see, the W track cost is substantially higher. Part of this cost is the fact that you are required to pay for at least 2 meals per day, not needed on the Milford track where you bring your own food. The cost difference is much greater when you look at the cost relative to my rating of the parks. You have very strong winds that in some cases may prevent you from crossing the Ghana Pass. You may have days of cold rain where you may be better off extending the time in your tent. Tenting on a mountain hillside next to a large glacier with roaring winds can be a test in comfort and camping skills. My average rating for the park is a very poor rating of 6 out of 10. The main problem is the park is not run as a proper national park.
That owns this whole part of the park, and that's why they have Soron, Hotel Las Torres, which is also Central, Norte, Refugio, and camping, all the above. If you're kind of like, where is this? It's all here. And then also Chileno, they own Pornos and Francés, so big fucking deal family, right?
And they create these large drainages that can become very dangerous.
Okay.
To prevent people from, hikers and even the rangers from having to cross them. It can be very dangerous. We proposed bringing in and building suspension bridges.
Okay.
And those were funded by donation and partially by CONEF. And our nonprofit organization works.
Have some local business with great concerns for the park and its visitors, like Erratic Rock that did a proper recycling of the gas canisters at a time when the big concession holders showed little interest. They also provided a more objective and helpful information to hikers than the big concession holders. I enjoyed the spectacular views in the park. It was worth the effort of my 10 days self-sufficient solo hike of the complete O Trail and some of the dead-end trails of the W Trail. But the enjoyment was negated by the mismanagement of the park and the very poor conditions for the independent tent camping hiker. Other places in Patagonia and other places in the world have much more to offer for such hikers.
But people get so fixated on just the park,
Yeah.
and Patagonia is a really big, beautiful place.
Yeah.
And they kind of come and they see Torres del Paine and they leave. And I would say that is the biggest mistake. There are so many more things to do in Patagonia that are not within, these national park boundaries, places that you can just roam and trek and camp for free and not have a timeline and have no reservation and not see another person. There's no dangers in Patagonia, which makes it really incredible for new trekkers. There's no bears, there's no snakes, there's no poisonous bugs or disease. You don't have to filter the water. This is a great place to learn how to trek.